Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another brilliant, brand new episode of UK Prison Stories, brought to you by Bolts, Bars and a Bit of Bird. I am your host with the most, Carl Aldred. Now, there's no doubt about it, I've been relegated to the shower bathroom. It's a bit early in the morning and I'm a bit scared to wake the people in the other room, so bathroom, shower bathroom it is, shower toilet, whatever you want to call it. Shower room. Here we go. Now, I've come across this video. Big up HMP interviews for this one, yeah? Joint enterprise. Oh, let me get it out of the bottom. Joint enterprise, yeah? I've spoke about it before. Some people think it's unfair and unjust. I mean, joint enterprise, just for an instance, people could be in a room discussing a crime, a potential crime, and you're in the room and you might not be involved in it, but because you haven't reported it or whatever, walked out and done the right thing or whatever you want to call it by the law, then you're part of your joint enterprise now. You could potentially maybe go away for whatever they're going away for. Does that sound fair? Is that fair? There could be a mass brawl in the town centre, and this is sort of similar to what he's saying. Someone's threw a punch at the police and everybody knows for it, but everybody there gets charged with the same thing, joint enterprise. Does that sound fair? Is that just? Again, I'm not endorsing what he's saying. I'm not saying I agree with what he's saying. I'm not saying I have the facts and figures in front of me. I'm just showing this interview because it's an interesting interview. We can react to it, we can talk about it, but in no way am I saying I agree with anything he's saying. Let's get it on.
Where are you from?
Dudley.
And what have you been convicted for?
Joint enterprise to murder, causing actual bodily harm and violent disorder.
How long have you been in?
About 18 months.
Are you in a gang?
No.
Okay, so how long do you have to serve?
I've got to serve 18 years before I'm eligible for parole.
Okay, I'm gonna get straight to it. What's it like to kill?
I've never killed, so I can't answer that question.
So you're not actually a killer?
No.
And how does that feel?
I just feel like being let down by the justice system.
Okay, so do you feel like you've been wrongly convicted?
Yes.
Explain why.
Because I've been convicted for murder, although I haven't actually killed anybody.
Okay, so what actually happened on that night in Sedgley?
So basically I was out celebrating my 22nd birthday. I was out with friends, just visited a few bars and pubs, had a good time, and then towards the end of the night I saw a guy kicking off and then I ended up getting punched in my face. Ended up falling to the floor, got back up, then tried to pull a friend away, ended up on the floor, and then I struck the victim once after I panicked, and then I stepped away from the scene.
So you didn't give that fatal blow to the victim? How did you know the victim?
So, just trying to make things a bit clearer, for those that don't talk Dudley, so it's near Birmingham, well, it's that sort of way. He's saying, and again, I'm not saying I agree with him, I'm not saying he's telling the truth, but you have to make your own mind up on that. He's saying there was a fight, he's got involved or whatever, or tried to break it up, or whatever he said. He's took a punch, he's fell on the floor, he's struck out with his leg and kicked. the victim, I was about to say the alleged is the victim, and then that was it. That was as much as his involvement, and he's been given 18 years for joint enterprise murder. 22. How many 22? How many people out there that are watching this right now that are maybe even judging? What happened is right. And again, I'm not saying I agree whether I disagree. I'm just saying how many 22-year-olds and 18 to 22. There's no difference in mentality, is there? How many 18, 22-year-olds been out with their mates, had a drink and had a fight? Yeah, it's sort of. Some people say it's part of growing up. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying some people say it's a part of growing up. Town centres are awash, aren't they, with young morons rolling around on the floor at the end of the night because they can't handle it. But 18 years for joint enterprise murder, is that right? Is that wrong for his involvement?
The victim?
I didn't know the victim.
Okay. So you and the victim had no trouble before this?
No, I've never heard of him, seen him before.
Why did the victim punch you?
I'm not too sure.
Okay. Do you feel like you've been given a harsh sentence?
Yes. Well, the sentence is, it's all right for the conviction. It's the conviction I feel is wrong.
And how old was you when you got convicted?
I was 22.
And how old was you when the crime happened?
22, on my 22nd birthday.
What do you think about joint enterprise? Do you think that's a lazy law?
It is a lazy law, and there's a lot of people throughout the system now who we've got the same issues I've got with it as well.
Okay. Have you launched an appeal?
No.
Do you plan to appeal your case?
Well, from what I've been told, I've got no grounds to appeal.
Because in the eyes of the law, joint enterprise is a thing. It's part of English law. So they're saying how can he appeal when it's joint enterprise? You don't have to be directly involved. Is that fair? That he has no grounds of appeal. They're saying, well, joint enterprise is a part of the thing. So that's it for you. But he also, we go back a couple of minutes and he said, when the interviewer said, do you think this is fair? And he went, well, yeah, the sentence is actually fair if I did it for the biggest charge out there, for the big M charge. He said, that's pretty fair. But for joint enterprise, he's saying it's not fair.
Okay. But if he was to appeal, what would you appeal for? Would you appeal to get your conviction quashed, overturned to manslaughter?
Well, I'd want it quashed or overturned to manslaughter.
And if you was to appeal the case, it would go to London in the High Court, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Do you regret anything about that night?
No.
No. How do you feel about the media portraying you?
Well, the media portrayed me out to be a gang member, a lowlife who had nothing else better to do with his time than go out drinking, being violent with my friends. They portrayed me to be quite a bad person, yes.
I showed an interview with a Scouser the day before. If there's any Scousers out there, ask them about what they think of the Sun newspaper. They don't always tell the truth. They make mistakes all the time, and they make the apologies, in that tiny little section that they put in the ultra small print. But they do get it wrong, and they do apologise. And again, ask the Scousers what they think of the Sun newspaper and their reporting of the stadium collapse in the 80s.
And is that true?
No.
What's the truth and what do you...
It wasn't a stadium collapse. A load of people got crushed because the gates were shut.
You want to clear up?
Well, the truth is, I didn't didn't murder the victim. I accept my actions, but I didn't play a part in his death.
Do you feel you're a victim yourself?
Yes, to an extent, because I was assaulted.
What injuries did your victim have?
It was just, he died of a blunt force trauma with excess alcohol intoxication, so it was just more bruises more than anything. There wasn't no cuts or like lacerations or anything like that. It was just bruising.
And it was completely random?
Yeah, the incident was spontaneous.
How many co-defendants did you have?
Well, there was 6 of us altogether.
And tell us about them. How many got convicted of murder and how many got convicted of manslaughter?
5 of us got convicted of murder, and one of my colleagues got convicted of manslaughter.
Don't forget, only one of them threw the fatal blow. 5 of them got charged with murder, convicted of murder, the other one got done for manslaughter. But only one of them can throw the punch that killed.
Okay. And the guy who delivered the fatal blow, how many years did he get?
He received the lowest sentence. He actually got 16 years due to his age.
And he is the actual killer?
Well, that's what the pathologist said. His strike has enough force to cause death, so yes.
Did you plead guilty or run trial?
I actually won trial.
How long was your trial?
The trial was 6 weeks long.
And what court was that in?
At Wolverhampton Crown.
Can you tell us about your trial?
No, it was just a normal trial as far as I was aware, but I know there was quite some issues during the trial regarding jury tampering and stuff, which I feel wasn't properly investigated. But there's not much I can do.
Would you have gone to trial in this situation? Would you have felt that you was guilty of murder? Would you have felt that if you had been hit first, fell on the floor, kicked him, and then someone else done whatever? Would you have felt you was guilty of murder? Or would you have thought, no, I'm going to go to trial because the jury's going to believe me? And then you just get hit with joint enterprise and the jury. You've got no choice, really. I mean, because it's part of law. Is it a fair part of law, or is it not?
Okay. Tell us about what happened with the jury and the victim's family.
Well, there was allegations during the trial that when we was having recesses for lunch breaks and the jury were going out into the town, they were actually socialising with the victim's family in the town. A number of people seen this and made formal complaints to the police and to the court, which the court got suspended for a couple of days, which they checked the cameras outside the court, which didn't show nothing as the view was quite obscured. And then we wanted them to do some further investigations regarding cameras in the city centre, but we was then told the council would not allow our legal teams to have access to the actual footage in the town. So we kind of hit a dead end.
That seems quite strange to me. Do you feel like that's a cover-up?
I don't know how to think. I just think it's a bit. I don't think it's right.
Because
the council and the courts, they're all part of the same system, really, aren't they? So would the other want to give the other bad press and vice versa?
Jury members cannot speak to the victim's family. To me, that's a clear breach of law.
Well, it would be. It would be if that happened, yes.
And who knows what that conversation was about?
Exactly, yes.
If this is true, that would be reasonable grounds for an appeal.
Well, it would be reasonable grounds for a retrial, I believe, because it's conflict of interests.
When you found out the victim died, how did you feel?
I was devastated, to be fair. I couldn't believe what I'd been involved in.
Considering
I've got to quickly say, there is no proof of what he's saying about the council and this and that. It's only his word. So you've got to take his word for it or not take his word for it. Like I said, I've got no facts and figures in front of me. I don't want to put some false narrative out there. It's just what he's saying. He's saying this is what happened. Is he lying? Is he not? Does he seem like he's lying?
in your situation, it must be quite hard for you.
Yes, it is, to be fair. I was a young lad and my whole life ahead of me. I was doing well. Yeah.
Do you struggle with stress or mental health?
I struggle with stress sometimes. It's a long time in jail. So yes, I do struggle sometimes.
How old was you when you first came to prison?
I went to jail when I was younger, 16. I'd done a year in jail then. Came out of jail when I was 17. Changed all my life around and
How did you change it around?
when I come out of jail when I was 17, I got my qualifications. I enrolled in a gas engineering course. I got fully qualified gas engineer, which took me 3 years to complete, working all over the country. And yeah, I was on a good path.
So you was a law-abiding citizen?
You could say that, yes.
Okay. How many times have you been to prison?
This is my second time.
What other prisons have you been to?
So I've been to HMP Strangeways, HMP Birmingham, HMP Hewell and HMP Warrington.
Do you feel the joint enterprise law is unfair for BAME communities?
Yes.
We already know that the stats say that more black people and Asian people get convicted of joint enterprise murder than white people. How do you feel about that?
I think it's unjust, really, isn't it?
Philip?
Again, I don't want to keep cutting him off for what he's saying it, but I've got no facts and figures. This is his opinion, his word. Do your own research, look it up yourself, and then find out if he's telling the truth.
Solicitor Jerry QC, she had exposed this in her book about the Amin Jolki case in 2016, which joint enterprise changed.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Well, the law was rewritten in 2016. There was a lot of people on the fringes getting convicted for joint enterprise. The law was rewritten to say if you assist or encourage an offender, you're as guilty as the offender, which I still think is. I still think it's unjust.
So let me get this clear. You're doing 18 years after a man punched you first and then you kicked him after.
Yes.
How has this affected you and your family?
Well, it's affected me because, like I said prior, my life's changed, and then obviously got my family. My mum's lost a son. My brothers and sisters have lost a sibling.
It must be painful.
Yeah, it's painful. Yes.
Have you heard of Chamber?
Yes.
And what do you think about them?
I think it's a good group, to be honest. It's a good group. They are campaigning to for a lot of people in these situations. But I think without enough recognition and enough people highlighting this issue, I can't see anything kind of changing.
Would you like Chamber to help you?
Well, yes, if it's possible. Yes, if they can help me and other people in similar positions, then yes.
Because Chamber are victims, families who have been convicted under joint enterprise, and they all protesting, and they do marches in London, outside the Supreme Court and outside the High Court.
Yes.
Would you like to get your family involved in that, or anyone else?
Yeah, my family are involved in Jengbad, to be honest. They have been on rallies, like you said, outside the Houses of Parliament and stuff. down in London. But like I said, without enough voices and enough recognition highlighting this issue, it's not actually going to quite go anywhere.
What the hell just come up there? Get out of it. Anyway, joint enterprise. I'm not very familiar with the organisation they named at the end. I'm sure they do good work. And for those that are out there saying he's lying, you don't get done for murder for getting hit, then kicking back, and then someone else doing it. Joint enterprise is a very real thing. Joint enterprise sends many people away. Joint enterprise could happen to anyone, because you could be in a room and something's getting discussed, and how many times has that actually happened? A few times. So you're part of joint enterprise in the eyes of the law. Not in my eyes. You're all innocent in my eyes, innocent until proven guilty. Does that really exist? Anyway, I thought that's quite interesting. If you enjoyed that, hit subscribe, and we'll probably chat again. Adios.